Hey guys, this is Hiubang.
Hi Maya.
Welcome
to Hiubang Show.
Don't forget
to subscribe, like, comment, share, and turn the bell on.
And as always guys, we are openly looking for endorsement. Email us at
hiubangshow@gmail.com.
So guys, Miruch Saskia is
Miruch
asking
Saskia.
us to react to any
Karolina Goswami videos.
So we kind of instinctively picked this video.
Yeah.
Are you sick of Indians?
Are you sick of me?
So I'm not sure the video
That's
is
the
all.
title of the video. Are you sick of
I'm
Indians?
not. That's why I'm doing all this reaction. So without any further ado, we're just gonna check out the video. As always, Karolina Goswami always talks about the harsh reality of what what outsiders think of India, and she proved it otherwise. So this is gonna be very interesting. So I'm just gonna check it out.
Recently, I was chatting with a lady from Europe who said
Is it
that she would
Chinese?
never visit India because India would make her sick and she would end up in an alien country without any proper care. I have also met people in Europe who have told me that they are sick of seeing Indians in their countries. Filth, dirt, cow, caste, curry, rapes. These are some of the words that are frequently used in the Western world to stereotype 1.3 billion people. And this process of defaming India has been on for many decades. But did anyone tell you before that if your country's healthcare system fails you, and if you end up facing a medical emergency, flying to India can literally save your life? Probably not. So let me enlighten you a bit today. Many doctors and nurses of Indian origin are not only treating you in your own country, but India has also been helping many citizens of the developed, developing and poor parts of the world in getting rid of their sicknesses and ailments. Each year, over 500,000 foreign patients seek treatment in India, and the numbers are increasing. According to Grant Thornton, Indian medical tourism market is expected to grow from its current size of $3 billion to $7 to $8 billion by 2020. The quality of treatment in India is world class and the cost is very low. Apart from that, India's ancient healing systems, which include the likes of Ayurveda and Siddha, make the country even more unique.
What is Ayurveda and Siddha?
The private health sector of India has grown vastly, but India's public healthcare sector needs improvements, and that is something I will cover in the future episodes. On the other hand, the situation of healthcare systems in many Western countries is very painful. According to a survey by CIHI, 1 out of 2 Canadians has to wait for more than 4 weeks to see a specialist. And 1 out of 3 Canadians has to wait for more than 4 hours in the emergency rooms.
I thought Canada has one of the best healthcare systems.
According to Fraser Institute, the total number of procedures for which people in Canada are waiting in 2016 is almost 1 million. Not just that, just a simple admission in hospital can make Canadians wait for many days. For home care services, wait times can be in months. And for a patient who needs a long-term care bed, wait times can be in years.
Really?
On the other
In
hand,
Canada?
26% of Americans
Oh
say
yeah, Americans I
that
believe.
someone in the household
Because I know Americans are struggling with their healthcare.
And according to Merritt Hawkins' 2017 survey, wait times to see a physician in the US have increased. In Boston, it is more than 52 days for an average new patient, and the overall average is 24 days. In the UK, National Health Service, which has a workforce of 1.5 million, is struggling too, as over the past year, on an average almost 200,000 people a month did not get surgery, even after waiting for more than 4.5 months. In many Western countries, dental work, plastic surgeries, many life-saving drugs are not covered in insurance, and also not everyone has a medical insurance. That is why many citizens of these developed countries are coming to countries like India, where they can get affordable world-class treatment. On the other hand, there are
This is
poor
good
people in
for
the developed
maybe in the
world
future.
who
We
can't
can
even
consider
afford to
India
fly
as
to
one of the
India
place to
Yeah.
go
or to
for
any
medical
other
purposes.
medical tourism
For now,
destination. And as a
Indonesian
result,
is preferred to go
many
to
of
Singapore.
them just lose their lives.
Yeah, and also Penang.
Still, these developed countries continue to send religious aid to the developing nations, while their own citizens also run to the developing nations to save their lives.
Sedih loh, in the States loh, sebenarnya nggak.
India is also known
Because
as the
it's
pharmacy
expensive.
of the world,
Yeah.
as its strong
People can
pharmaceutical
afford
sector
to take care of
and
themselves.
21 major vaccine manufacturing companies have played their role to make India the world's biggest supplier of quality vaccines and medicines. The medicines that India produces save millions of lives around the world. In terms of making medicines, it is far ahead than China, which mostly produces API, which are actually the raw ingredients of medicines. India is also a purchaser of API from China, and there was a time when India was
China
the
ya,
main
tadi.
source of API itself.
Hyderabad.
And now, India is looking for ways to reduce its purchase of API from China, as not only it is capable to manufacture API itself, but also it does not find
Oh, bagus
China
ini
as
India
a
loh.
very reliable partner after
Hyderabad
the
aja
recent
ya.
Vietnam
Iya.
crisis. India was the top supplier to the United Nations last year, with $804 million sales in pharmaceuticals and medical services. India is producing life-saving drugs that include the likes of generic anti-AIDS medicine, which are saving many lives in 112 developing countries. Not just that, many citizens from the developed world come to India to save their lives, as they can't afford to buy these life-saving drugs in their own countries. In order to provide affordable life-saving drugs to millions of poor people, India refused to recognize pharmaceutical patents for more than 3 decades. In 1995, it joined World Trade
Jadi biar murah,
Organization
nggak
and
dipatenin
then
obatnya.
it changed its patent policy. However, India's patent law does not allow evergreening, which is a tricky way that is used by drug companies to secure a new patent by making minor adjustments in existing drugs. And these drug companies do not like it. Yes, India makes generic medicines, but generic medicines are produced in Europe too. Yes, pharmaceutical companies have lost patent cases in India, but they have also lost cases in Europe and even in
Di
the
sini ada,
US.
in here in Indonesia we also
India
sell like
has
generic
every right
medicine
to
kan?
have
Ya
its
ada
own
kan
patent.
di apotek gitu yang
And
there's
also,
no brand,
it
right?
has
So the
every right
doctor
to have
will
a special
Rekomen apa bahasanya sih?
recommend
licensing,
whether the patient
which
want to
saves
take the
lives of
generic one
millions
or
of people around the
the
world
quality
who would
one.
otherwise die without life-saving drugs. And anyway, since 2005, India has also issued hundreds of patents to many foreign drug companies, including the recent patent that it granted to US pharma giant Pfizer for its pneumonia vaccine. Still, USA continues to keep India in the priority watch list category in the US Trade Representative Report, a category that also includes China. Yes, USA's frustration towards China is understandable, as somehow China has adopted a strategy of fake it until you make it, with all its counterfeit goods industries and efforts. But why is India
I'm not
on
gonna
that
say anything on
list?
that one.
Why is India being blamed for providing affordable medicines and saving millions of lives? Does it sound legitimate? And anyways, USA must remember its own history before it blames anyone. Should we forget how one of the founding fathers of the USA, Alexander Hamilton, in his 1791 Report of Manufactures, wanted his country to reward those who brought improvements and secrets of extraordinary value from elsewhere? Or should we forget how Francis Cabot Lowell stole the designs for the power loom from Britain in 1810 and brought the Industrial Revolution in America? Or how about Charles Dickens, an English writer who went to America
Charles
with
Dickens
the
tulis apa ya,
intention to
Kevin?
launch his new novel, but
What
found
does he write?
that
His
pirate
book?
copies had already been on sale for months. Or how about Thomas Dix, an industrial spy from America who was jailed by the British but was praised by George Washington for his special efforts? Well, there is a reason why the historian Doron Ben Attar wrote in his book Trade Secrets. The United States emerged as the world's industrial leader by illicitly appropriating mechanical and scientific innovations from Europe. The British are also renowned for their deeds. Robert Fortune, who was an industrial spy of the East India Company, was sent to China to steal the complex technique for processing tea leaves. Even the first factory of the United Kingdom was built thanks to the illicit diagrams of an Italian silk mill. Thomas Long, the man who set up this factory, was even rewarded and honored. Well, this trend hasn't stopped even today, but the Western media largely remains silent on such issues. Why did it not create sensational headlines in the UK when Penja Laboratories Limited, a UK-based company, was caught stealing a formula from Ayurveda and was trying to patent it? Why did it not create sensational headlines in the USA when Colgate-Palmolive was caught stealing and patenting a formula from Indian traditional systems of medicine in their mouthwash? For thousands of years, Indians have been freely sharing their knowledge of Ayurveda with everyone. But the Western idea to convert an affordable Indian Ayurvedic formula into a high-end luxurious organic beauty product is pure evil. On the contrary, Indian drug companies are converting the unaffordable life-saving drugs into affordable high-quality medicines, which are saving millions of lives globally, including many lives in the developed world. Yes, the R&D cost of inventing a new drug is high, but if the USA can spend $600 billion for its defense so that it can establish peace in the world through its weapons, it can also do something to protect its own people who are dying without proper healthcare system, and can try to bring down the prices of life-saving drugs. Western countries can't keep running away from their ugly reality while ridiculing India for its imperfections.
Brave statement.
Perhaps
Brave statement.
the media can also talk a bit more about how their companies attempt to steal and patent the formulas from India's Ayurveda, and how India's affordable medicines are saving lives of their own citizens. Through its affordable medicines and qualified doctors, India is not only healing you in your countries, but also many people from around the world are healing themselves in India. And you can come and see how Indian hospitals are even treating the patients from those countries which have even fought wars with India. Before you ridicule India or an Indian, remember that their medicines or their hospitals can someday save yours or your loved one's life, as the country of ancient healthcare has also become the modern pharmacy of the world. See you again.
And that was the video of how India, from poor to superpower, but of course, I think
providing
India's favorite,
medicine.
Karolina
Goswami
really talks about how the medicine. Let me tell you about my experience. I am fortunate enough to be able to go to Singapore and go to the US and then come back to the States. Let me tell you a story about how each of these countries' experience differ. First and foremost, go to Singapore. Singapore's medical health check and all that kind of stuff. Because I have experienced an accident before. Somebody hit my head in the States and it was bleeding. Right, and we go to the emergency. It was fast. It was really fast.
In Singapore.
In Singapore, and I went to the States for my college and my intern training days. Right, believe it or not, I have this finger kejepit apa sih namanya, the door, not door, like jam by the door, slam by the door or something like that, right? It was bleeding.
Okay.
It was bleeding. It was bleeding. Do you know what happened? So I go. This is me as a foreign student, yeah. So as a foreign student, we don't have any rights to insurance and all that kind of stuff. So we go to the hospital. Of course, to get this checkup, to get this treated, right?
So you go to ER, emergency.
I go to the ER.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it takes for me to go just to go into the ER? The first thing that the nurse asks, do you have any insurance?
Okay.
Are
at,
you
at the registration desk?
Registration.
Yeah.
Are you a US citizen? Of course,
so you got interviewed first by the nurse.
By the nurse, by the receptionist or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I said no to all the questions because I was like barely 6 months in the States and I was experiencing that. And okay, so anyway, I said I'll pay cash. I'll pay cash. I'll pay full, whatever it needs to be. Whatever it
You
needs to be
say
paid.
it in advance.
Yeah, pay cash. And I have to wait just to get to the ER. In Indonesia, if you have to go to the ER, you go to the ER right away, right?
Straight to the
In the States, no, not like in the, you know, like the drama general hospital and that kind of stuff, right? It's so professional, but in reality, it's not like that. So I have to wait for about 2 hours to go to the ER, and my thumb, it was painful in the beginning, and it was numb in the end. Cause I'm just like this, and blood is dripping, and all they gave me is just kapas, cotton, just to hold it in. And then a few years later in the States, I got robbed. I was robbed. I was beaten by a few people. I was beaten to a few people. My wallet got stolen. My cell phone got stolen. So what happened is the ambulance came. Okay, anyway, long story short, I got treated in the ambulance. And the next day, this is like, but no, next day, about 48 hours after the whole incident, I got a bill.
Email?
A bill. Invoice
by the ambulance.
By the hospital, by the ambulance. You know how much the bill? Just for treating apa sih namanya? An ice pack. So they just gave me an ice pack, just to give an ice pack, and then they bandaged me.
Yeah.
That's it. It was $5,000 US.
Oh my God! How you pay it?
That's why when she mentioned healthcare, how it is in the Western world, but I'm quite surprised with the Canadian one because I heard stories that Canada was actually really good in terms of treating their people.
I thought that Canada is an advanced country, right?
Yeah. Apparently they have to wait, but I think in Asia, when it comes to healthcare, I think Asia is a little bit better.
A little better, yeah.
I mean, like we go to the hospital or something like that. Like where if you're emergency, they'll treat you right away, you know, and stuff like that. And in the States, it's not like that. I don't know in the Canada because I've never been to Canada.
Yeah.
I've only been to Toronto just for a visit, like 1 or 2 days. But I've never experienced the healthcare and stuff like that. But when it talks about that, you know, every time. In our mind, we think of America as this great superpower. Yeah. Right? But in reality, it's not. I was staying in San Francisco. I live in San Francisco, not stay. I live in San Francisco for about 10 years. Homeless was so bad over there. I'm not saying homeless people are bad. I'm just saying the case of homelessness is so bad. People are living on the streets. People are taking dump on the street.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so bad. It's so bad. And then that's why sometimes I don't really believe the media when they say that certain country acts a certain way. That's why I really try to train myself to be more critical thinker. That's why like India is definitely one of those countries that we believe in our mind. India is this backward country with people with a funny accent. But if you really go to Silicon Valley, all the engineers are Indian. I'm not talking about the CEO. We know Sundar Pichai and everything, right? But we're talking about the engineers, the programmers, even the business development are all Indians, even in Indonesia.
Yeah, we have
a lot of Indian Indonesian. Those Indians who are born in Indonesia, right? It's so. That's why I really I agree with a lot of what Karolina Goswami said. That actually. Not saying just India, but I think a lot of other countries in Asia are really actually much better to live in compared to the Western countries.
In terms of the health sector, So I kind of agree too with Karolina, and she have this gut to say all.
I was surprised, with all the statement that
all
she
the
said,
facts, all the statement that she said in the video.
Nevertheless, more power to India, and hopefully more power to Indonesia and the rest of the country in Asia. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. See ya.
Bye bye.